What's up, everyone? My name is Chris Perez, and this is episode 1 of Road to Powerlifting American Nationals 2025 in Atlanta, Georgia. So they just made the announcement. The meet is going to be between April 3rd and 6th in Atlanta, Georgia. And so I am excited that it's going to be on the East Coast. I was hoping that it was, since last year it was in Reno. It was literally the farthest possible place it could be from where I live. This is episode 1 of this series. Every single block, I'm going to make a video, basically just talking about my training, giving you more insight into how everything's have gone. It should be 9 blocks from my last meet up until Powerlifting American Nationals. So every single month I'm going to make a new video, and I'm going to talk about how the block went, everything that was good, everything that was bad, any changes we're going to make going forward, and just give you guys some insight into my training leading up to the meet. Along with the block review, I'm also going to be talking about something else in the video. Every single video will have a different topic, something additional to add on to give you more value. This time around, I'm going to be talking about my performance at the Raleigh meet, the SBD Raleigh meet that just happened a little over 4 weeks ago. Just competed in this meet, and it was my best meet to date, 9 for 9, and I'm super proud of that performance. I finally broke into the 840 kilo range as an 83 kilo lifter, 10 times body weight, and literally 5 kilos away from the current IPF world record. And so I'm very, very happy with my performance. I PR'd my squat, my bench, and my deadlift, and the total, of course. So I'll go lift by lift and kind of let you guys know how everything went, how the meet was. First, I just want to say the meet was incredible. Probably the best meet I've ever competed at. Shout out to Pete Spence, to Megan and Marshall, the directors of the meet, and for Pete, of course, for his role in making that happen. I really think that these kind of meets are exactly what powerlifting needs, and I was very, very grateful to be part of that. The meet was beautiful, ran super well, the backdrop was nice. Obviously, the roster was very good, the venue was nice, so I really have no complaints. I was very, very happy, and obviously I had a good performance, so I'm also very happy about that. Now, with that said, I'm going to go lift by lift and just kind of talk you through each lift and how everything went. So starting with squat, the goal was to squat 300 kilos. That was the plan A attempt. That was what we thought would be best case scenario, and that's exactly what happened. It actually moved better than I expected it to. I was thinking that 300 would be like, if I had a really, really good day, but I actually think I had a little more. I have grinded out squats harder than that in meets and in training. I probably had another 2.5 to 5, to be honest, if I really wanted to. But I think 300 kilos was the right number given the circumstances, given the fact that there was very tight competition and we didn't want to miss any lifts. And so I was extremely happy coming out of squats. A lot of you lifters know that, when you miss a third squat, your morale just really goes down. The rest of the meet sometimes doesn't go as planned. So it's very, very important. It's imperative that you make all 3 squats. I genuinely believe in that. And so coming out of squats, I was very happy. I was very positive. I really felt like I'm absolutely on. And I think I showed that as well throughout the day. I was very confident. I was celebrating, which I normally don't do. Now, going into bench actually felt pretty good. The Eleiko pad is different from what I train on, but it usually feels pretty good, at least the last couple times that I've used it. And so I felt pretty confident going into bench. I did manage to hit a 2.5 kilo bench PR, but it was less than I wanted. I was really aiming for that 210 range, but it really just wasn't there on the day. I think bench is the one lift that we haven't completely fully dialed in. I think there's some changes that can be made, some things that can be made a little bit better. And so we are kind of working on figuring that out. One of the main things is keeping me healthy because I tend to have this bicep issue that flares up sometimes. In the last couple blocks, it was getting a lot better and it was going away. And so that's why I was able to continue pushing. But it is a recurring issue and it's something we have to continue to work around. So very happy that I was able to hit 205 kilos on the platform. It was a 2.5 kilo PR, like I said. So you can't be too mad when you hit an all-time PR on the platform. And in that kind of situation, that kind of meet, and with that kind of competition. So I was very happy coming out of bench as well. Now, moving on to deadlift. Deadlift was really the star of the show for me. We had 335, which is what I hit as my third. That was the planned A attempt. That was the best case scenario. The training data was indicating that it should be there. And honestly, I definitely had a good bit more. I genuinely believe definitely 5 more kilos, maybe 10 more kilos. Same thing with squat. I have grinded out much heavier, much more difficult deadlifts than that before in the past. And so deadlift is actually the one that I'm the most confident with being able to grind. And so I genuinely believe another 5 to 10 was probably there on the day. I absolutely smoked that third attempt. And so my only regret of the day was that I didn't go heavier on the deadlift. I would have definitely put another 5 or 10 kilos more on the platform because I really feel like I had it. With that said, like I stated, 9 for 9. 5 kilo PR on the squat, 2.5 kilo on the bench, 5 on the deadlift with a lot of room left on the deadlift. 840 kilo total, which is a very, very big total in the 83 kilo weight class, and I'm very happy about that. They pretty much went as good as it could have gone, right? Maybe my bench could have been a tiny bit better, but I really can't complain, hitting a PR on all 3 lifts and the total, especially where I am in my career. It's the PRs are, few and far between. It's a little bit more difficult to get and add an additional 5 kilos to your lift. And so I'm very happy about the result of the whole day. Now that I went over the meet and went over how everything went on the day, I'm going to go into the next part of this video, which is the block review. And so coming out of the SBD Raleigh meet, things weren't feeling too good. And that kind of makes sense. I just had a huge performance, lifted bigger numbers than I've ever lifted. My body was a little beat up. I could tell right away that my body was beat up from the first couple days of training. I felt worse than usual, but it is what it is. Sometimes that week 1 and week 2, you feel kind of crappy. It takes me a few weeks to get back into things, and that's fine. Things didn't really get a whole lot better. I kind of felt bad the whole time. Everything just genuinely felt kind of heavy. From weeks 1 up until weeks 3, everything felt pretty bad, especially squat. So when week 4 came around, I just didn't have what I expected to have or what I wanted to have on any of the 3 lifts, to be honest. My coach, Marcellus, gives me ranges, and so I try to stick to those ranges. I was taking the low end for the first 3 weeks. Normally I take the high end all the time, but I took the low end just because I felt so bad. And when I say bad, I just mean just general fatigue. My body was hurting. I had some pain in my back in a couple different areas. My knees were hurting. Some things that kind of just happen after, lifting really, really heavy after a big block or something. And so that's what I was feeling. Nothing really crazy, nothing out of this world, but just general pain in a lot of different areas. And so it was hard to push. It was hard to, stick to those ranges. And so I took the low end every single week. By the time I got to week 3, I literally was not even able to take the low end for the triple. I ended up doing a single. I'm talking about squat. I took a single. It was really, really heavy. Took a minute to regroup, focus again. Took 2 more reps in another set to try to make up for the 3 reps that I was supposed to do. Bench and deadlift felt fine. They were on pace, I would say, for where I was supposed to be. And then on week 4, everything kind of fell apart. Not really. It was not the worst day in the world, but not exactly what I wanted, not my expectations. I took 5 kilos less than the range for squat, and I did it for a single. It was really, really tough. My positioning was off. I just didn't feel strong. Same thing with bench. I took 5 kilos under the range, took 190 kilos, and it moved okay. I probably could have gone up again and actually hit the range, but I just didn't want to force anything. And then on deadlift, I took the upper end of the range. I was kind of attempting to make up for squat and bench, which is not really ever a good idea, but I wanted to hit that 315 kilos for 3, which would have been a 5 kilo PR. I actually felt pretty good. I felt pretty strong. Warming up, I felt, on deadlift. So I do the first reps, and the first 2 reps felt great. I felt really strong. And then I just ran out of steam on that 3rd rep. I don't know exactly what happened. I think it's just my fitness was just not in a place where I wasn't prepared to take those loads yet. And then another thing I forgot to mention was that on the Thursday before that heavy SBD, before that Saturday, so 2 days before, I hurt my back on a squat. It's not a significant injury, but it did in the moment hurt really bad. It did hurt for a few days afterwards. I still kind of feel it now. It's been about a week since it hurt, since I injured it. But it is the kind of thing that I think will continue to get better. It feels like a muscular injury. It does feel better, like with heat, for example, which is kind of a clue to me that it is a muscular thing and not like a spinal issue. And when I get up and move around and warm up, it tends to feel better. So all those things considered, it's getting a lot better. I haven't had to skip any sessions or any volume or anything, but I just feel it and it hurts. But like I said, it is getting better, so I'm not too worried about it. And now that we're starting a new block, everything's going to be really nice and light. It'll give me a few weeks to kind of get back into shape again. Really, the issue with this block, what we kind of think or what we agreed on was that I just was carrying too much fatigue from the last few blocks. I had a lot of really, really successful training leading into Raleigh. I had at least 2 blocks that were really, really good, like high performing, the block of the meet obviously, and then the one before that. And so I think I was just carrying a lot of fatigue. Everything that comes up, right, you get up to this peak, it has to come down at some point. And so I'm actually glad that it happened after the meet, of course. I'm glad that I was able to perform well. And that now is when I'm experiencing kind of that down trend in terms of strength and performance, which is perfectly fine. I'm not competing for another 8 months. So I'm not too upset. I was a little upset in the moment because, of course, you have expectations for yourself and you really want to hit these numbers, but it doesn't work out sometimes. It is what it is. We're kind of, one of the main things, one of the best things about a situation like this is that you can learn from it, right? And so I always try to learn something from every experience, every good or bad meet, block, session, whatever the case is. And so what we kind of determined was that I just need to take a little more time to build in between these really, really heavy exposures. And so if I have a really, really good, really, really heavy block and I hit PRs on everything, I can probably expect that the next block is not going to go so great. Or even if it does go great, we can probably just bring everything down, give me some time to heal, give me some time to feel better, to get rid of all that fatigue, and then maybe a couple blocks later, then we have another really good big performance. But really, the idea is to build up to that, right? Kind of start at this low point, go up and up, hit that high point, and then come back down. And so going forward, I think the main thing that we're going to do is just bring down the intensity a little bit, especially on those primary days. On the secondary days, and for the most part, I'm doing a pretty good job of picking my loads. I don't think I'm overdoing it. I'm picking the right intensities for for the day, for the RPE. But I think that those primary days and those top sets, I think, were just a little bit too much for me. It's not that the strength wasn't necessarily there. I just wasn't able to execute it or perform it on the day. My fitness was not high enough. And so that's basically it in a nutshell. That was my first block. Unfortunately, not the best block to start this series, but I've had several blocks previously that didn't go well, and then things really pick back up, and I have really good performances, and so I'm not worried about it. That is the natural trend of things. You're going to have up blocks and down blocks, and so I'm actually really glad that it happened now after the meet. And so with that, that's the end of the episode. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in. If you can, please like the video if you liked it. Please subscribe to my channel, and look forward to the next video in roughly 4 or 5 weeks. Once I finish up this next block, I will be posting the next block review and the next episode in the Road to Powerlifting American Nationals. Peace.